What's going on YouTube? CDA Green here, back with another video, and today we have Nothing and Nobody Will Ever Hurt You Again. Carl Jung. I feel like he is a philosopher. I think he is a philosopher. I've been reading this one book. This name looks very familiar. So I'm very heavy on philosophy lately. It's just very inspirational. It teaches you certain outlooks on life. You know what I'm saying? Very inspirational, simplistic ways to look at it to make you feel better. At least in the moment, you know what I'm saying? I have trouble having them stick with me for an extended period of time. But maybe I just gotta study up more on it. I don't know. I don't quite know the secret quite yet, but Nothing and Nobody Will Ever Hurt You Again. It's quite the interesting title, and it stuck out to me because I am a very self-conscious person. I get nervous easily. I have anxiety, very much so. So hearing this title, it really stuck out to me because I'm like, oh, if I do this one thing, nothing and nobody will ever hurt me again. So it caught my attention, to say the least. And it's by a philosopher. I like philosophy. So here we are. That being said, we're going to get straight to the video, see what it's talking about. Make sure to like the vid, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate y'all watching. Let's hop straight to it. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. That's tough. Now that's a good, it's a nice quote because I think I forget exactly what it's called, but I'm reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. And it's a certain frame of psychology where it's like trauma. You know what I'm saying? You look at things as in, this thing happened to me, this traumatic thing happened to me, therefore I am now like this. But this is coming from a teleology, I think it was called, something like that. Teleology, I think that's the new one, where you have things that happen to you, but it's still your choice to decide what you become. That is to say, your past does not define you. The other one says your past leads to other things. Your past causes things in the present and the future to occur. The new one says, no, the past does not cause anything. The present is all that matters. The past does not exist. Trauma does not exist. I am what I choose to become. Because things happen to you, but people deal with a lot of the same traumas in their lives, but they don't all end up the same way. That's just proof that your past doesn't equal your future or your present, or it's not predetermined. You know what I'm saying? You still have the choice to choose the things that happen in your life. So I like this quote quite already. I like it.
Have you ever wished to be someone who is unshakable?
Yes.
Someone who doesn't care about criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal? Have you ever dreamed of the day when you will finally stop feeling that silent pain, that anguish that eats you up inside, even when you pretend to be fine on the outside? Maybe you're tired of trying to please everyone, of maintaining an image that requires strength all the time, when in reality, all you wanted was to rest, just for a moment, from the pressure of being untouchable. But let me tell you something that perhaps no one has had the courage to say. As long as you try to avoid pain, it will continue to control you.
That's quite the statement. As long as you try to avoid pain, it will continue to control you. That's very true, because every time you look at a new or unfamiliar situation that might make you uncomfortable, you don't want to be uncomfortable or feel pain, so you avoid these situations that are outside of your comfort zone, which in doing them, they would enhance your comfort zone, make you stronger, make you grow as a person, but because they make you uncomfortable in the first place, you avoid them altogether. Therefore, that fear is controlling you.
As long as you try to numb yourself, to protect yourself, to hide, you will remain a hostage to everything that happens around you, to the words that hurt you, to the actions that disappoint you, to the silences that kill you inside. And this is not weakness. This is the reality for most people. The difference is that some pretend better than others. Carl Jung, one of the greatest names in depth psychology, said that we are not what happens to us, but what we choose to become. And that's where the key lies. It's not about shielding yourself from the world. It's not about becoming cold, indifferent, or untouchable. It's about integrating. It's about bringing to light everything that currently affects you in the dark. Because true strength is not the absence of pain.
It is the action in spite of it, but the full awareness of who you are.
Full awareness of who you are, even when you are bleeding. If you've made it this...
The full awareness of who you are, even when you are bleeding, which means you still do the things that you know you want and need to do in spite of the pain that you feel. Which I feel is kind of similar to what I said. I'm learning something from that book, man. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't just been reading.
This far, it's not by chance.
I've been absorbing.
This video is for you who are tired of hurting yourself with everything and everyone. It's for you who feel that you are always at an emotional disadvantage, as if other people have a power over you that you don't understand. I want to show you that it doesn't have to be this way, but for that, you will have to face some truths that may hurt. And perhaps, for the first time, this pain will set you free. Let's get started.
The illusion of control while you still feel hurt.
You believe that what hurts you is out there, in the actions of others, in poorly chosen words, in the abandonments you have suffered, in the betrayals you did not expect. But the truth is brutal. None of this really has the power to hurt you, unless there is already an open wound inside you. What hurts you is not what others do to you. It is what these experiences activate within you. It is the story you tell yourself about it. It is the old trauma that has never been addressed. It is the emptiness you disguise with strength, with pride, with that desperate need to seem well-adjusted. Jung shows us that the pain we feel in the face of the external world is merely a reflection of what has not yet been integrated into our internal world. That is why some people can go through devastating situations and still maintain clarity, while others crumble in the face of a simple comment. It is not about what happens, it is about where it hits you. And here comes an uncomfortable truth. You still suffer so much because on some level, you believe you can control how the world should treat you.
That's tough. That is a very true truth. Very redundant, but yes, it's very true. So you still believe you have control over how the world should treat you. I think that is what he said, and that is very true. For example, right? Oh, I'm gonna wear these clothes, these cool clothes, these popular clothes. I'm gonna wear this cologne, smells good. I'm gonna take care of myself, look good, smell good, dress good, feel good. And by doing this, everyone should like me. No one should treat me bad because I'm so perfect and I'm so appealing and so desirable and so charismatic that everybody should treat me well, positively, right? That is an attempt to control how others should treat you when really that is not up to you. How they choose to treat you is their choice. You know what I'm saying? You may feel because you did a certain thing that led to a certain treatment from someone else, but it's not how it is oftentimes, right? You may say, you know what I'm saying, like you go over to a store and you order some food and you get a person kind of a hard time, you being real particular about your order or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And they start getting like, I don't know, quiet, maybe visibly annoyed. And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, my bad, I didn't mean to make you upset. When really, you don't know if that's really what made them upset. They could have been having a bad day before that. You know what I'm saying? It could be family problems, relationship problems. They could just be having a bad day. They stink, you know what I'm saying? They didn't get to put on deodorant, so they feeling bad about that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they didn't get to brush their teeth. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of things that could have been. Not necessarily what you did. You know what I'm saying? So that just goes to show that your actions really can't control everything in this world. How others should perceive you. Only thing you can control is yourself. Yeah.
You are still trying to be good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, as if that guarantees that no one will hurt you. But control is an illusion, and as long as you cling to it, you live in constant tension. trying to predict the unpredictable, trying to avoid the inevitable. Do you want to stop suffering? Then stop protecting yourself from suffering. What you need is not more control, but more awareness. As long as you believe that people need to change for you to stop feeling pain, you will remain enslaved by the actions of others.
Very much so. If you believe that people need to change for you to stop feeling pain, then you will remain enslaved by the actions of others. Yes, because for you believe that people need to change for you to stop feeling pain. So that is to say that others need to treat you better. They need to change who they are. They need to treat you better for you to stop feeling the pain. When really, how they treat you should not dictate how you feel about yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like he said earlier in the video, he says something along the lines of, it's not the actions of others that hurts you, but how you choose to interpret that action. If you choose to interpret it in a way that doesn't affect you or make you feel bad about yourself, maybe you could spin it to a positive. Now you're feeling good about yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this person treated me so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, they said I stink or some shit. I mean, shit, one more thing I can improve on to become a better version of myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could spin it to be something good, bro. It's just all about your perception. And I know these things, and it feels like I'm a wise person in these videos, but I still don't act like I know these things, bro. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, I know what it is about me. You know what I mean? Because I have things, like I said, like anxiety. My anxiety and nerves kick in heavy. I start, you know what I'm saying? My voice starts shaking. I sweat a lot. I get very visibly nervous. And I feel like people interpret that more than they probably are. So that, in an attempt not to look nervous or vulnerable to others, I just choose not to do the things that I want to do, right? Like approaching a girl. That's really the main thing it'd be, approaching women. I feel like if I'm not in that masculine frame of energy and I look like a bitch, you know what I'm saying? I'm sweating and bitching, voice shaking and all that shit. Yeah, you can't get it done. So therefore, don't act. Don't act. And that in turn is training my brain to not act. It's treating me, I keep saying treating. It's training me to not act when I feel that, you know what I'm saying? That negative response, the anxiety kick in. It's like, oh, you feel anxious? Nope, don't do none. You can't do none. That's it. You can't do it. When in spite of the anxiety, if I were to act and possibly gain a positive outcome, even if I don't gain a positive outcome, it's not the intended outcome, but I'm still alive at the end of the day after it. It shows me that things are okay and that I'll live even if I do these things that make me uncomfortable. So, yeah. I went on quite the tangent. I don't know how I quite got there, but hopefully that helped somebody.
Your freedom begins the moment you understand that everything
Jesus,
that comes
we're only fucking 4 minutes in, bro. 22 minutes. I'm gonna stop talking.
From outside only has power if it finds an echo within you. And this is exactly where the true battlefield lies. The unconscious. What you do not see, do not understand, and do not master, masters you. And this is what we will explore in the next part.
Okay.
Get ready to dive one level deeper, because that is where true transformation begins.
Okay,
If this content is
you.
making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. The biggest lie you've been told is that you are in control of your life. Wake up, because you're not.
Oh, shit. Bro, that's literally, in the second part, literally that was kind of the basic premise of the argument. You know what I mean? People can say what they want to you, but you're in control of how you choose to take it and how you choose to feel about yourself. But I'm not in control of my life? That's a lie? Do tell me more.
At least, not as long as you continue living on autopilot, reacting without knowing why, feeling without understanding where it comes from, making decisions that you later sabotage. Carl Jung made this clear when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate."
Make the unconscious conscious. Make the unconscious conscious. I I'm having trouble grasping that. But I will say something as like, right, when I get nervous, the hardest things that I typically do without thinking become so much harder. Like I said, I don't know if y'all heard that coin drop. Forgive me if you did. But yeah, like breathing, walking, when I'm nervous, all these things seem impossible. I gotta focus on doing them so they become conscious. They're no longer unconscious. So what are we talking about? I don't really know. I'm gonna keep watching.
And that is exactly what is happening to you right now. The pain you feel, the anger that explodes out of nowhere, the sadness that invades you without explanation. None of this is random. They are messages coming from parts of you that have been forgotten, ignored, repressed. Jung referred to this dark territory as the unconscious. And it is not just a cloud of vague thoughts. It is an active force, an entire system of memories, traumas, desires, and fears that you do not want to face, but that continue to decide what you feel and how you act. You wonder why certain words destroy you while other people don't care. Because those words touch sensitive points within you that are still alive. And if they are alive, it is because you have never confronted them. You have only pushed them under the psychological rug, and now you keep tripping over them. Jung said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it." Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. And what have you been doing? Judging yourself, repressing yourself, silencing yourself, as if that would solve anything. The truth is that the unconscious does not disappear just because you ignore it. It only finds more dangerous ways to manifest. In toxic relationships that you repeat, in patterns of self-sabotage that you cannot break.
I see it now. I see it. Because they're still there and they're still causing these things to happen. But because you thought that you took care of them and they're unconscious to you, you don't even know that they're still with you. You're like, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? I can't figure it out. Why are these things keeping happening to me? You know what I'm saying? But since you don't acknowledge it to be a part of you, you haven't accepted it, you can never cure it, I think.
In anxieties and fears that arise when everything seems to be going well, this is not bad luck. It is your unconscious trying to wake you up, but you insist on sleeping. Do you want to be someone who is no longer hurt? Then stop running away from what is inside you, because as long as you do not know your unconscious, you will be a puppet of your emotions. And the more you try to protect yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you become to internal pain. But there is a way out, and it is not in defending yourself, it is in integrating yourself. Because becoming untouchable is not an act of resistance, it is an act of deep knowledge. This is what we will see next. What does it truly mean to be someone who is unshaken? And why does this strength not come from armor, but from acceptance? Let's continue.
Okay. Becoming attainable.
Most people believe...
Damn, nigga. Can't fucking read, man. Hold on.
Let's continue.
Becoming unattainable isn't about defending yourself. It's about knowing yourself. Okay. Now that I can finally read it. Becoming unattainable isn't about defending unattainable. Becoming unattainable, I don't even know what the fuck that means. Unattainable is something that you typically can't. Becoming unattainable, becoming perfect, I guess, isn't about defending yourself. It's about knowing yourself. Okay. I guess I kind of get it.
Most people believe that the only way to avoid getting hurt is by closing themselves off. They build walls, create masks, develop emotional armor, and pretend that nothing affects them. They say, I don't care anymore, I couldn't care less, nothing gets to me. But inside, they continue to bleed. They keep corroding. Because the problem was never about feeling, the problem is not knowing what you are feeling and why. And this only happens to those who do not yet know themselves. Jung was precise when he stated, know all the theories, master all the techniques, But when touching a human soul, be just another human soul.
Hmm.
And that the problem is not knowing what you are feeling and why. Was never. They keep corroding. Because the problem was never about feeling, the problem is not knowing what you are feeling and why.
Okay.
And this
You don't know
only
how to
happens
solve
to
it?
those who do not yet know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Jung was precise when he stated, "Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when touching a human soul, be just another human soul."
Mm.
And that human soul you insist on hiding behind a strong, invulnerable, controlled character. It is screaming to be seen. Becoming emotionally strong has nothing to do with being cold. It has nothing to do with ignoring pain, avoiding conflict, or pretending not to care. It has to do with integrating, with accepting, with bringing to light everything you have buried in the dark. You do not become untouchable by creating a barrier between yourself and the world. You become untouchable when you realize that no one can touch what has already been embraced within you. When you integrate your shadows, your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, you stop reacting to everything. You observe, you choose. You are no longer an emotional puppet.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because if someone tries to attack something about you that you have already accepted to be part of you, it's like, yeah, I didn't like this in the past, but it's who I am, so I can't change it. Might as well accept it. In fact, I've learned to love it. Nigga, so joke's on you. You can't faze me with your words.
And that is true freedom. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming who you really are. Not what others expect of you, not what you thought you should be to be accepted, but what emerges from within, from the meeting of light and shadow, between ego and unconscious. Individuation is not a process of perfection, Jung said, but of integration. You do not need to become a better person. You just need to become whole. And here is the secret that no one told you. The more you run from pain, the more it chases you. The more you try not to be affected, the more fragile you become.
In the words of my boy Young Don, what you resist persists. It'd be the things like that that sound so good that you're like, oh shit, maybe it is true. And this guy is saying the same thing, or this AI, because that's what it's coming like. This is coming like AI content, but the messages from it is still kind of real, but I don't know. It didn't feel like a real nigga made this up, but shit. Let's keep going.
But when you face your own wounds, when you accept who you are, with all that is beautiful and ugly, noble and shameful, nothing outside has the power to dismantle you. However, this path requires courage. Courage to look within. Courage to abandon the masks.
Okay.
Courage to feel.
Yep.
Because it is precisely in pain that the key to transformation is hidden. And that is what we will discover in the next part. How suffering, far from being an enemy, can become the gateway to your true strength. Let's dive deeper. And this time,
What doesn't kill
without
you
fear.
makes you stronger. Suffering is a
You
gateway to the
learned
self.
to hate pain. Since you were little, you were taught that suffering is a sign of weakness, that crying is a waste of time, that feeling too much makes you vulnerable, and so you began to run, to avoid, to deny. But the more you flee from suffering, the more it chases you. And the worst part, it changes form. It disguises itself as anxiety, anger, apathy, boredom, self-destructive impulses that you don't even understand where they come from. Ignored pain does not disappear. It just digs tunnels inside you until one day, without warning, everything collapses. Jung saw suffering in a completely different way. He believed that pain was the messenger of the soul, the alarm of the unconscious, the language that the self, what you are in your entirety, uses to get your attention. He said, "Depression is like a lady in black. If she appears, don't push her away. Invite her to sit down, offer her a coffee, and listen to what she has to say."
Okay. So look at it from a different perspective. The things that make you nervous or the things that give you anxiety, make you uncomfortable, give you the pain. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, you're thinking, okay, I can do this. This doesn't faze me. There's nothing wrong with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? This doesn't faze me. There's nothing wrong. I can do this. But if you're still getting anxious or nervous, that is the pain signaling you, nah, this does bother you. It does. It's going to give you pain. You know what I'm saying? You feel bad about it. But the more you do it, don't run from that pain. The pain will lessen. The more you do it, the more you learn to throw yourself into the fire, as they say, right? And only once that pain goes away, if it ever can, do you know that that unconscious thing is truly no longer a part of you.
But you don't listen. You silence yourself, distract yourself, keep yourself busy, numb yourself. You do everything to avoid looking at what really matters. What is this pain trying to show you? The truth is that suffering only hurts so much because you are still at war with yourself. There is still a part of you wanting to grow and another part wanting to keep everything as it is. There is something inside you that cries out for transformation, but your ego, accustomed to control, tries to suffocate that call. And it is in this friction that pain is born. Because change hurts, growth hurts. Letting go of old beliefs, cutting toxic ties, allowing what no longer serves you to die. All of this is a mourning, an internal process of death and rebirth. But it is precisely in this space of ruin that something new can be born. Because when everything in you is deconstructed, when certainties crumble, when pain lays bare your vulnerability, you can finally see who you really are without the layers of protection, without the performance, without the mask. And at that exact point, suffering becomes sacred. Because it brings you to your knees before the only thing that can set you free, yourself. Jung knew this. He understood that suffering is not a failure of the system. It is part of the process. Pain is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of the journey towards individuation. The problem is,
the pain shows you I can't fucking talk. The pain shows you, yeah, there's a problem here. Uncover it, unpack it. Yeah, that's the start. That's not the end all. Because the pain, most people, it would only be the end if you see the pain and you're like, oh, not doing that again. I'm cool. And then it would be the beginning if you see that pain and you're like, what's the cause of this pain? Let me uncover it. Let's unpack it. You know what I'm saying? It has to be the beginning. You can't let it be the end.
that most people give up before crossing that dark valley.
Yeah.
They flee. They distract themselves. They return to the surface. But not you. If you have made it this far, it is because you are ready to cross. And in the next part, we will understand how this crossing process happens.
Okay.
How the path of individuation, no matter how lonely and brutal it may seem, is what finally sets you free. Let's continue. It's getting deeper now.
The Royal
Few
Shield.
people have the courage to begin the journey of individuation, and even fewer have the courage to complete it. Because this path does not promise comfort, does not offer guarantees, does not protect your ego, it destroys it. Jung referred to individuation as a process of becoming who you are. But this means, above all, unlearning what you think you are. And that hurts more than any external rejection, because you start to realize that much of what defined you until now was an illusion.
Damn.
You are not your achievements. You are not your traumas. You are not the image you constructed to be loved, respected, or admired. All of this was what you created to survive. But surviving is not living, and individuation is life's call beyond survival. It is when the unconscious begins to push everything that has been repressed, hidden, and distorted to the surface. Individuation requires the dissolution of the persona, Jung wrote, for it is merely a mask of collective convenience. In other words, you will need to tear off your own skin to discover what lies beneath.
Right.
It is in this process that you begin to become untouchable. Not because nothing affects you anymore, but because you have already gone through the fire. You have faced your monsters. You have looked into the eyes of your shame, your neediness, your anger, and said, I see you, and you no longer control me. It is this internal clarity, this lucidity in the face of your own darkness, that gives you a strength that does not depend on approval, recognition, or control. You no longer need to be loved by everyone. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need to appear strong, because you know who you are, and no one can take that away from you. True emotional armor is not a shell, it is a core. It is the integration of all your parts into a center of consciousness that remains unshaken in the face of storms. You may feel pain, but it does not break you. You may be hurt, but you do not lose yourself, because you have stopped being reactive and have become whole. You have stopped living on the surface and have begun to inhabit the depths. However, this depth comes at a price: loneliness. Not because you will be alone, but because few people can accompany you on this journey. Most are still trapped on the surface, in masks, in the fear of feeling. And when
You know what it is, bro? Since you can only feel your own feelings and read your own mind and be yourself, when you see someone else, you have no idea if they're going through this exact same thing that you're going through. So it makes you feel weird. It's like, why is everybody but me fine? When in reality, you don't know that to be a fact or not. You kind of just jump to conclusions because you see they're outside. You see them smiling. You see them acting, functioning. But you can't read their mind. You don't know what they thinking. You don't know what they've been through. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That's why it hurts to worry about everybody else. You just got to worry about you, because you can't even know what everybody else is going through unless you talk to them. And even then, they're not going to tell you everything if it's too vulnerable, like the video is saying, right? So yeah, you just got to do what you need to do.
when you begin to free
Worry
yourself,
about you.
you inevitably distance yourself. But this distancing is not rejection. It is maturation. You do not distance yourself out of pride. You distance yourself because you no longer fit where you once hid. And this brings us to the final point of this journey.
Okay.
Consciousness as a shield. Because it is not strength that protects you. It is clarity. This is what we will discuss in the last part. Consciousness as the only state in which nothing, absolutely nothing, has more power over you. Let's finish this crossing together. We are almost there.
True emotional immunity
Now
is
that you've made
consciousness.
it this far, there is something that needs to be said very clearly. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will shield you from external suffering if you remain unconscious of what happens within you. The words will continue to hurt. The rejections will continue to sting. The losses will keep bringing you down until you awaken. And awakening is not a magical event. It is a daily choice. It is looking within even when it hurts. It is taking responsibility for everything you feel without blaming others, the past, or fate anymore. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists."
Okay. So it was Carl Jung who said that, not Young Dumb. My fault. My fault, Carl. I ain't even mean to let a nigga steal your shit, bro.
What you accept transforms. You have spent your whole life resisting. The fear of not being enough, the emptiness of rejection, the pain of loneliness, the anguish of not feeling seen. But what did you do with that? You hid. You silenced yourself. You tried to control everything. You tried to be perfect. You tried to be strong. And all of this has brought you here, exhausted, tired of fighting against the world and against yourself. But now you know. True emotional immunity is not hardness. It is clarity. It is not about creating armor. It is about expanding your awareness. Because when you understand your triggers, your patterns, your wounds, the actions of others lose the power to destroy you. You still feel, but you don't drown. You still suffer, but you don't lose yourself. And that changes everything. What shields you is not protecting yourself from life. It is diving into it deeply. Those who live on the surface get hurt by any wave. Those who dive know that there is silence, stability, and power down below. And that is where you're headed. And when you start to live from that place of integration, presence, acceptance, the world may try to knock you down, but it no longer finds where to hit you. If this video touched you in some way, if something within you has awakened, write here in the comments, I choose awareness. Let's start a movement of people who no longer want to survive by pretending to be strong, but to live with truth. And don't forget, the next video is also part of this journey.
Okay.
It's important. You need to keep going. Real transformation only begins when you don't stop at the first step. See you there.
Hey, if anything else, that last statement will take you far. The road to transformation doesn't stop at the first step. Or, yeah, I think that's what the nigga said. I don't fucking know. But yeah, Nothing and Nobody Will Ever Hurt You Again by Carl Jung. Basically, the premise of the video is to face the things that make you uncomfortable, acknowledge that they make you uncomfortable, keep doing them until you can, you know what I'm saying, live with them, look at yourself, look at who you are, learn to accept them things. So when someone tries to say something about you, you already accepted it. You know it's part of you. It doesn't faze you no more. Their words. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Accept yourself. Love yourself. Be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only when you seek external validation, like we said, that you try to be something you're not, because you think this version of you will lead to you not experiencing no pain from nobody, right? No one treating you no type of way. So that is impossible though. And that's something we have to realize. Perfection does not exist. So what other thing is there to do than to be yourself? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be whole, like he said. And that's a motherfucking fact, boy. That's a motherfucking fact. And I need to reflect on these ideas because I know them, but I don't feel them quite yet. Maybe because I haven't done internal reflection, like the video said, shit. So I'm gonna go on my journey. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to start it. And I encourage you to do the same if you feel, you know what I'm saying, that any of these things in the video apply to you. You know what I'm saying? But if you like the video, make sure to like it, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all watching. Let me know any thoughts about it in the comment section down below. I'm gonna get up out of here. This was a long video, but it was an insightful one, and we might revisit this channel's content. But if it's on some AI shit, I don't really know. It kind of creeps me out. But until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Lay y'all. Peace.